You'll actually get to see comments. Okay, so we're live. Oh, okay. So I don't know if you can see. You should be able to see the comments on. I think it would be your right side, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah,
actually, yeah. So actually, it even says that I can click on a comment to show it on screen. That is so cool. Wow. It didn't have that option before. So that's really cool. So if people are like talking to us and saying things about the book, instead of me having to like read the comment out loud, we can click on it for the screen. So welcome to the Booktubers and Brews live show. Yeah, this is our very first one for this year. This is Alittlewriterem, Emily. And
Hi, guys.
I have her channel linked down below in the description if you want to go check her out. Right now it says we have 4 people watching, which is really cool. I know you can't see that on your side, unfortunately.
I just got a notification on my phone to say watch live now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Ahead of you, YouTube.
That's awesome. So we read, or mostly read. She finished. I had like 20 pages left. Anyway, Say You Still Love Me by K.A. Tucker. And we're going to talk really quick first about the drinks that we have, because that was my whole like idea of this live show, is to also incorporate like drinks and have drink recommendations. Oh my gosh, Missy. Yes. Okay. So I put my link to my drink because I know a lot of you guys know here on my channel, I've been obsessed with like David's tea. And so I actually think after trying like so many different ones, my top favorite is the Candy Cane Crush. And so that's what I'm drinking right now. And it's black tea with like some peppermint. It does have a little bit of sugar in it and stuff, but I put the link down below, and they actually have like a buy one, get one 50% off sale. So when I like went to go grab the link, I was like, I want to buy more so badly, but I'm on like a no spend month, so I can't buy it. And then Emily, what are you drinking at the moment?
So I'm not drinking anything particularly English. I actually got this from an American website because I'm obsessed with American drinks. I'm drinking the Swiss Miss dark chocolate, hot chocolate, because hot chocolate is my thing. And I put it with oat milk. So just
yeah,
the oat milk instead in the hot chocolate. Mm-hmm.
That sounds really, really good. That's really funny because I was looking forward to your drink recommendation because I was like, ooh, I hope she has something cool and like British. And then you were like, is this American chocolate?
Well, the only things I drink that are like British, I guess, is like peppermint tea, and I feel like everywhere has that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. And then you were like, oh, we'll link it down below, and I was like, no, I need to find something that's linkable. I just meant like, even if you had like a recipe, like I would just like put the recipe like down below. So if it was like, oh, I'm drinking a smoothie, like I would have just like typed out the recipe for people. Well, the other option was like my Nespresso machine, but I feel like that's also not a recipe or a link. So I was like, I'll just go for this.
No, that's fine. Next time you can do the espresso machine. I want to buy one of those actually. Because
I love mine.
Maybe I'll have to do that in the future, and then I can be like, this is my drink. I'm fancy now. Oh, look. Okay. So some people said, okay, hi, the Linden Bookie is on. And Penny, hi, Penny. And Missy said dark chocolate, hot chocolate is so good.
So good. I also have the one with the Swiss Miss one with the little unicorn marshmallows in. Oh, that one's good too.
Maybe you should just move here.
Yeah, that's the end goal.
Because you're even drinking it out of your like Strand mug, which is from New York, right?
Starbucks today.
Oh, got it. I think I saw your picture.
Yeah, no, I do have a Strand mug. Yeah, I mean, if I move to America and people say, "Why did you move here?" I can just be like, "Hot chocolate." Yeah.
Okay, so here when I do my live shows, there's spoilers all throughout. Like, I don't like to worry about not spoiling people. So if you have not read this book, you should probably hop off now because I don't want to worry about spoiling you. And so, yeah, we're just going to go right into the nitty gritty. And Emily, I'm going to ask you for your star rating first.
Okay.
Oh, show them all your tabs. Just show them how, like, yeah.
I'm dedicated. I was so honored to be the first guest. I was like, gotta go hardcore. I may have failed at the drink recipe, but I won here.
You didn't fail at that. No, not at all.
I'm going to give this a 3 stars.
Okay. Yeah. At first, I was going to give it a 2. And then in the middle, I started getting a little more interested in like the adult chapters. So I was like, okay, if this keeps going well, I think I could give it a 3. And then the last, like, I still didn't even finish the last 20 pages. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to rate a book 3 stars that I didn't even care to finish. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like those last 20 pages or whatever. So I think I'm definitely going to go with a 2 on mine. Penny said I DNF'd it. Yeah, totally. I would have, like, I was so close. I would have DNF'd it if it wasn't for the live show. Like, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a struggle. And I feel like if I hadn't been doing this, I might not have pushed through to the bits that made it better for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know. So what do you want to go through, like, why you gave it a 3 star? Like, what you liked and disliked about it?
Okay. I feel like I have very complex thoughts on what is really not a complex novel, but I feel like the main character, from what I've read, I've also read The Simple Wild, which was by K.A. Tucker, and for me, the main characters are just so samey. Like, they're like quite privileged, white blonde females that like have a love interest, and there's a bit of a hate to love, and I just felt like it was a bit samey for me, and I wasn't really invested in any of the characters, and that was why I felt like I marked it down. The bits that marked it up for me was that I loved that she was living with her best friends, and the bits with her friends in I really enjoyed, and I feel like had there been more scenes with the friends and about those 3 women, I would have really enjoyed it a lot more. I've seen a lot of reviews of this book that say that these sexual scenes in this book are set in with the past characters where they're like 16 years old. And I do agree that that was a bit strange. I don't know how you felt about that, but I felt that, I don't know, it was just all a bit, the pace was weird and the timeline was a bit weird for me in that sense. But definitely the saving grace was the friends for me, because I liked her when she was with her friends and like the banter between her and her friends. I just didn't really like her romantically with other characters. Just didn't do it for me.
That's funny that you said that, because I looked up reviews on Goodreads really quick before we like started this, because I was like, okay, I really didn't even know what other people thought of this book. And I agreed with so many of the other like lower ratings. I was like, this is exactly why I didn't like it. And one of those was the fact that, yes, all of the like sex scenes were like from when they were in camp when they were 16. So if you guys don't know this book, which you should if you're still on here, but this book is like into, I guess it's what the heck? Alternating chapters. Thanks so much. Where the younger chapters are, I guess, when she's like 16 and 17 at a camp, which that was also something that I just don't really like camp things. I never went to a camp, so I guess I just don't appreciate camp things, and I'm not an outdoorsy person. So that was incredibly boring for me. I also don't like young adult novels. So reading from those perspectives and all of the romance being in those perspectives just was not doing it for me. I liked reading the adult parts, so it just kept flipping back and forth. Also, I don't know. There's some books I think that do that really well. And then just some books, like I felt like this just kept, like, I just kept being flopped. You know what I mean? Like I would get into the adult chapters and then I would be like, oh, now I have to start all over again with like the young adult chapters again. And like, you know, flipping back to a different scene. I didn't really like that. I did not ever get to finish The Simple Wild. I DNF'd it like, I don't know, 40 pages in maybe because of the hate to love. I don't like hate to love. This one, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't like any of the characters at all. Like I despise so many of the characters, especially her dad. It was really weird, her relationship with her dad, because it was like in the beginning, I thought that she really liked him. And in the end, it just seemed like she didn't like him. So it was weird. I felt like the character kind of changed halfway through, where it was like she was like daddy's girl at first. And then at the end, she like wasn't daddy's girl anymore, and she just kept picking fights with him, which like I didn't like him anyway as a character. But I also really disliked how spoiled of a brat wealthy she was. Like, I just feel like I couldn't relate to any parts of the story with that, because, you know, she was crying about him not letting her be with Kyle when she was younger. And then he like threw a car catalog at her and was like, I'm going to buy you a car. Like, you don't need to be punished. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, what is that?
And then I felt like when it got to the bit where he did something and it was revealed that he did obviously like tell Kyle, like pay Kyle off, and there was genuinely something for her to be really annoyed at, and it should have changed the nature of the relationship with her father. Like, she just forgave him, like really suddenly, and with no kind of repercussions for him or them as a father-daughter pair. Like, it was just a bit strange to me.
Yeah. Let's see. Someone said, Missy said she's auto-subscribing to you because she wants you to talk to her for forever.
We can talk forever. I agree.
Penny said she hated the main female. And yeah, I agree. I feel like she was just, I don't know. She just like really fell flat to me other than being a spoiled brat. Like, that's all I really knew about her. I didn't feel like she actually had any other type of good characteristics. Adult chapters, does this book have romance like Eggplant romance? Not a lot. I felt like it definitely wasn't as vulgar and like smutty as some other books. It just kind of, I know that people call some of it like fade to black, but I still feel like it was a little bit more than that.
Yeah, no, definitely some of the scenes when she's at camp with Kyle. And I feel like if you market something as an adult romance, but then those kind of scenes are almost the young adult chapters, it's just not what it was marketed originally as.
Yeah. I felt like it even read like a young adult. Like, I did not feel like this was an adult romance at all, or at least an adult novel at all. I don't know. It just was not the way that I thought it was going to be. Penny said, I liked The Simple Wild and didn't feel the hate was as intense as the hate in this one. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know. I mean, it's not like she even really like hated Kyle in this one, but I also didn't really think I didn't really feel a connection with them. I don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely. There was no connection. For me, it just felt like, I don't know how you pronounce it from The Simple Wild. Is it Calla or like Calla Fletcher? The main character. I don't know how you pronounce that. It felt like it was her just lifted and put in another book for me. I didn't feel like there were any characteristics which really distinguished her from Calla Fletcher from The Simple Wild, which is why I didn't feel like I could connect with her, because I was like, what is going on? This is a character from a different story.
Yeah. There was something else that I was going to point out. Now, when you were talking about how you liked reading about the friend group in here, or like her roommates, have you read You Were There Too by Colleen Oakley? It just came out in like January.
No, I haven't.
I think that you would really, really like that one because, no, not that one. Sorry. In 5 Years by Rebecca. I read them both.
Yeah. No, I have read that one.
I felt like that one where it was more like friendship than like just romance.
I wasn't expecting it to be about friendship in that one, but it was such a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, I didn't either. And when you were saying that, I was like, you would probably really like that book. So
yeah, I love that book.
Yeah. So the things that it's always really hard for me to like say positive things about a book when I rate it so low. I just have such strong hatred towards things, I guess. No, I don't know. But I don't know. I don't think I really like K.A. Tucker's like writing style. I just don't think it's for me. And listening to The Simple Wild for that like beginning part, and then this one I listened to and read, I just don't know if I would pick up any books by her in the future because I just think that her style isn't for me. Like, some other people really, really liked this book, but I feel like when I read a romance, I just can't have this type of like romance story about just random people kind of for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, when I read a romance, I want it to be like really hard hitting and very emotional. And so for this one, it just felt like, I don't know, it just felt like nothing was really happening. at all. Like I didn't know what I was waiting for. Do what?
I definitely preferred The Simple Wild. And I feel like I will read is it Wild at Heart, the sequel that's coming out to The Simple Wild?
Yeah.
Because the thing I didn't like about The Simple Wild was kind of the hate to love and how mean like they were to each other. But I think Wild at Heart kind of takes the next stage of their relationship. So I will read that one because I feel like I do like those characters as a romantic couple. But I just could not take to the characters in this one. Like I didn't feel, as you say, invested in them in anywhere near as much as The Simple Wild, and that one wasn't even my favorite. So.
Yeah, there was one part in here because I want you to go over your little what are those things called?
Tabs.
The tabs, yeah. But I had like not screenshot it, but I took a picture. I'm gonna have to see if I can find it because there was one part in the beginning when I was reading it, I was like, this is just, I don't know, it was really frustrating. And I think it was about her roommate and the guy that her roommate was dating. And she was like, oh, like this guy just is really bad for her. And the way that she described the guy, it was just that they were two opposite people. Like it wasn't, I don't know. I have to find the picture in order for me to even like describe it. But while I'm finding that, do you want to go over some of your...
Yeah, I will. So I like to think I'm quite organized with my tabs, but really I just stick in random colors and hope that they look pretty. The first one I have though, like there is no particular reason why one's yellow and one's orange. It's just
okay.
It's just a collection of thoughts. But one of them I had is that I really did like the facet of her character that I did like is that she was very much, I want to climb my way up in the workplace and I'm not going to be trodden down on by the men in this workplace. Because I really did think that was quite a nice addition to her character because it was good attitude to have. And it showed that I actually felt like she wasn't just daddy's girl getting everything handed to her in the workplace. Because I felt like she really wanted to make her mark on the industry. So I liked that about her. There was a line that I highlighted that it was like, I also refuse to hide my femininity behind wide leg trousers and bulky blazers because they can't keep their leering eyes away. And I like the lines like that because it showed that she was actually really like a strong female that was going to storm the workplace regardless of what the men thought, which I did like. Let's go to the next random colored tab. Okay, that one wasn't even a big thing.
What page are you on?
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at that first one. I was on page 4.
Okay. My picture doesn't have a page, so I don't even know where my comment's going to come in. So you can keep going.
Yeah. I even marked literally like this tiny bit where she's talking to Gus, the security guard, and she like shames him for having a donut. I was like, no, how dare you shame him for having a donut? Gus, you have all the donuts you want. Piper, you were doing well until that comment. Just see how many donuts I eat, Piper. You wouldn't like that.
That's funny. Oh, Colette, you said you loved the whole book and it was amazing. You should tell us in the comments what you did like about it.
Yeah, I would really like to know because I can see why people would enjoy it. Like it wasn't like there was anything majorly offensive or anything. Which whereabouts in the book was yours?
I don't know. My picture doesn't have the page number when I took a picture, but it was definitely in the beginning. But it said it was talking about Ashley and Chad, and it was saying that like Ashley's all about it says Chad and Ashley are as opposite as you can get and not in a good way. Ashley is all about organic foods, vegetarian. Oh, did you tab that? Yeah. And protecting nature while Chad had a deer head or like from a deer that he shot stuffed and mounted on the bed. Ashley uses laundry baskets instead of dresser drawers to store her clothes, while Chad vacuums the vacuum cleaner. Ashley spends hours on Pinterest looking for ways to upcycle a chipped teapot to avoid it going into the landfill. Chad is an engineer for an energy company that Ashley has protested outside. And then it said like, basically Chad's a dick and Ashley's way too good for him. How does that make him like a dick? Like I was like, what? I can't believe that you're judging him for those things because just because you eat organically or because you like are a vegetarian doesn't mean that you're better than someone that's not. You know what I mean? So I was like, bleh.
She wasn't looking at explaining the situation in like a calculated way. Like she was just slagging him off. I also highlighted this because I didn't understand it because I think it might be American.
Oh.
What's a laundry basket and what's a dresser drawer?
You said what's a dresser drawer?
Okay, what's a laundry basket? Like
a laundry basket?
Like what's? I don't understand.
So a laundry basket is like a plastic basket with holes. I should have go grab mine. And I have a clean and a dirty one. So I have like one in the bedroom that we put our dirty clothes in, and then you carry it to like the washing machine and like put it in the washing machine. And then I like heard something really loud that might have been on my computer.
Yeah, me too. Oh, okay. What happened there?
I have no clue what that was. But then, yeah, like you can take, like when you take your clothes out of the washing machine or the dryer, like you put it in the basket so you can like carry it to like another room. Do you not have those?
No.
Do you just carry all your clothes in your arms?
Like we do have a laundry basket, but how is that comparable to a dresser drawer?
So a dresser drawer is like, you know how you have like a dresser where you put your clothes in? Like a piece of furniture that you put clothes in is a dresser. And then the drawer, like they're pulling out a drawer and like putting, like you put like your socks and shirts and stuff in it.
The whole sentence still doesn't make sense to me. Like, why is that a comparison to
so what it's saying is that Ashley, I guess, isn't organized, where she just throws her clothes in a pile in a laundry basket for like forever and doesn't like sort them and fold them and put them away nicely. Whereas people that use dresser drawers are like folding their clothes and they put them in the dresser drawer, and like you have shirts in a drawer and you have like pants in a drawer and stuff like that.
It makes sense now.
It's so funny. Oh my god, we need to do like a whole video of just you asking what American things are.
That was like the first time we did that video chat, and I was like, so what is it? I can't remember what it was. It was the whole thing. Like,
rednecks.
I was like, what is a redneck?
That is so funny, because that's how I feel when I read, like, when I was trying to read all those like Christmas books, they were so British, and I was like, I don't understand what is going on right now. So it's just so funny. It's so weird.
That is funny. Yeah. I didn't even realize until you pointed it out that they were all British. It's like, if it's somewhere that you live, you don't realize.
Exactly. That's funny. Colette said, I loved how she was fighting for equality in a male-dominated field, and that's what you said, Emily. And then she said, Chad sounds super controlling to me. Missy said, what the heck? I wouldn't read the book based on that alone.
What, the dresser drawers?
Right. Yeah. Earlier, she said, I cannot read spoiled, bratty adults.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's funny, though, that you also tagged that page, too.
Yeah, we clearly had the same idea. Although you tagged it for, like, an intellectual point, and I tagged it for...
And you tagged it on, like...
What is a laundry basket?
That is so funny. Oh, my gosh. That's so hilarious.
I'm trying to make sense of my tabs. I should have written things down.
Yeah, I wish I was that way. I guess I remember things like if I actually care about the book. You know what I mean? I remember more, I feel like. Yeah.
The page 52 where they're like flirting and they're talking about the turtles. And Kyle is like, exactly, I need to be with the kind of girl who likes turtles. Are you the kind of girl who likes turtles? I was like, if a guy was talking to me like this, I'd be out there.
Or then when she like met him later and she was like, hi, remember I like turtles or something like that.
Oh gosh, no, it was cringy.
which I thought was actually kind of weird. I mean, I know that she was trying to write the book in the order of the flashbacks, but it's like, I feel like of all the flashbacks they had, that's not something that she would have actually said when she met him again, like to reference her, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would have been like something else, but I mean, I guess I understand that she just picked that because that was the chapter we read like previously.
Yeah, like the little snippet that we got of them.
Yeah.
Okay, I've tabbed again the adult chapter, page 63, where she is talking about Trip, the guy in her dad's company that kind of wants to
Yeah.
climb over her and get to the top and push her down.
Mhm.
And when she's like, it looks like I've run to my daddy with my problems because I can't handle them on my own. Like, I liked that she was not that, and that she, again, was reinforcing the idea that she wanted to do it on her own. I feel like there's a lot of tabs about that because of all her traits, that was the one I liked.
Yeah.
There weren't many others. Oh yeah, I tabbed the page where she brings up the turtles in the
Again.
I was like, what is this?
I didn't like that he pretended to not remember her. Like,
That
at first,
was
I thought it
weird.
was going to be a hate to love then again, and I was like, darn it. Because, yeah, I was like, what was the point of pretending not to know her like that and kind of treat her that way? Especially when you moved there just to, like, see her again.
To reconnect with her. And
especially when he was like, oh, I'm sorry, what's your name? Sarah or Ashley? Or I don't know. He just pulled that random name out.
And instead of like picking that course of action and seeing it through, the first time she mentioned it to him, he was like, yeah, I panicked. I was like, pick an action and stick to it. Either you don't know who she is or you do.
Right, exactly. And then especially since he remembered like her roommates and their names, I was like, what a lie.
I was like, yeah, you've grown up a lot, Kyle, clearly.
Right.
I feel like I kind of liked, well, I didn't love it, but I liked the way that his family situation gave him another dimension as a character. Like, I like that they both had situations going on in the book, because that made it a little bit more interesting to read about. Because I did really like feel for him when he was talking about his family, and I felt like that made him more of a likable character.
There was something where, like, I know that obviously I didn't like her dad when I found out that, like, he paid Kyle off to, like, leave her alone. And then when, like, we found out that her mom actually knew, you know, a couple weeks later, I guess, after she got paid off. But at the same time, not that I would pay somebody off, but at the same time, like, if I were a parent and, like, you dropped your daughter off at camp for, like, 5 weeks, you know, when you're like 16 and 17, like, you know, parents don't want a romance to like happen that fast, especially when you're not going to see them the rest of the year. So I can kind of see how they were like, oh no, this guy is like bad for her, especially since all they knew was like his family background. They didn't actually know like him. So I feel like if I were a parent and that was like my daughter, not that I would have money to pay $50,000 to tell them to stay away, but like I would still probably be, you know, like pulling back and trying to be like, okay, like, you know, your relationship's going really fast, or, you know, something like that.
Yeah, it's just that they lacked the healthy method of having that conversation.
Yeah.
And then when he like took Kyle's number plate and searched it to find out his family history, I was like, that's so invasive. Just because you have money does not mean you can invade people's privacy in that way.
Yeah,
so there's definitely a healthy way to like express your protective nature towards your children, and that wasn't it.
Yeah, exactly. But so that was just one of the parts where I was like, okay, I could see like both sides, where I mean, obviously she was upset with finding that out like 13 years later, but yeah, you know, it wasn't as healthy for her to just dive into a relationship. Also, I really did not like that he like told her about the summer fling before that, because then throughout her head when she was 16, she was just like, oh, what if I'm like this summer's fling? What if I'm this summer's fling? And like next year he's not going to care about me anymore.
Yeah. And I also I don't like it when a guy then like insults the girl before the girl he's with then, just to make her feel comfortable. Like, I don't think that's
to be like, oh, that girl was crazy. Like, that's why we're not together.
Yeah. Or like, I didn't really care about her. Like, it's okay if you're going to bring it up to admit I cared about her, but now time's different. I care about you. Like, you don't have to just diss all the girls in your past. And also, she was called Avery, like the character in my book. So I was like, no, please be a good character. Don't ruin the name for me.
You know, I'm reading your book in February, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I am nervous. Please to roast my book.
Oh no. I'll be nice to you.
Yeah, please, gentle. Oh, there's another comment. I'm gonna be.
Do you mean kicked, Missy, or do you actually mean kissed? I'm gonna be kissed. Oh, she probably means pissed. I'm gonna be pissed at the camp because why the heck is my teen able to have sex multiple times? Yeah, exactly. So I was homeschooled my whole life, so I don't know about camps, but is it actually true that you just drop off your teenager with other teenagers for like 5 weeks? Is that really a thing that happens?
It's not something I feel like we do in the UK, so I wouldn't know. We did have like 14 people on. Now we only have 6 people on. I guess we're roasting it too much. No, it's fine. Yeah, I'll have to ask people because I honestly don't know. But that was one just other weird thing that like her parents were like, okay, we're on vacation. Like, see you in 3 weeks. Bye. You know, like when they called her that one time. I feel like her parents might not have been how all parents are in that situation, though. They seemed quite hands-off parents, until it came to money. I don't know, in my opinion. Until he did the weird thing with Kyle. I don't know. I didn't really understand whether her parents were too involved or not really involved at all. It didn't, because I felt like she didn't have that much of a connection with her mom. And it was more like, oh, I'll see you when I get back from Paris.
Yeah. The relationship with the parents was definitely weird.
One of the things that I really kind of didn't sit right with me, and I could feel it coming the whole way through the book, is the thing that happened to Eric, the accident that involved Eric. I felt like it was kind of used as like a little dangling carrot throughout the book, like they would reference, oh, what happened to Eric, and then at the end of the book I didn't really feel like it was as emotive as it should have been. Like, this is a really tragic thing that happened to this boy, and it's affected his whole life and his family, and yet it was kind of used as like a plot point for 2 people to get together instead of having its own focus, which is what I felt like it would have been really nice if it had more focus on that, because that was really sad and really did pull emotion out of me. Of all of the things in the book that happened, that really like kind of got me a bit. I don't know, did you get to that bit?
I don't know. I mean, that's where I like stopped, was when they were like, oh, we have to go see Eric in the hospital and stuff like that. I think. Yeah, so I don't know actually.
Well, it was just like that the accident and the injuries had like affected his entire life, and he couldn't really speak or move or do anything unaided. And so it was really like sad, and it was kind of just like in one chapter and then used as a way for Kyle and Piper to reunite, instead of it being a learning experience for them all. I felt it could have been more of a focus on the book, but I guess then if that had been a focus of the book, then that would have changed the entire kind of book and the storyline of the book, and it wasn't meant to be an emotive piece about a boy in an accident. It was meant to be a love story, which I guess you couldn't have had that as much more of a focus, but I just wished it had been.
Right. Yeah, that must have been when I was skim reading, trying to finish the end, but I don't remember even when I was, but I'm also not a very good listener, because the first like 130 pages I listened to on audiobook throughout the week on my way to work, and it was literally so hard for me to pay attention to this book, because like I was already not really loving the story, and then I already have a hard time with audiobooks. But then the last 2/3 I was reading at home, and then the last like 50 pages I was trying to skim to the end.
Yeah, I feel like the writing style is quite polarizing. Like, when I was looking at reviews for this and the reviews for The Simple Wild, people either kind of love it or hate it. I actually quite like the writing style. Like, I find it very easy to read. It's just, you have to isolate that from the contents of the book. And for me, I actually found The Simple Wild when I read The Simple Wild. The last half of that book I really enjoyed, and I loved how easy it was to get through, and I read it so quickly. And I think if the context and the content of the pages and the writing interests me, I really enjoy the writing style. It just has to, this particular set of characters didn't interest me as much as others.
Yeah, and I'm the opposite. I don't like this writing style for some reason. It's just, it doesn't, I don't know, it's like totally different than like Colleen Hoover or even Taylor Jenkins Reid, where they like really pull me in, and I feel that I like their characters a lot better.
Yeah, Taylor Jenkins Reid is the goddess of literature.
Yeah.
Anything she writes is automatically gold, solid gold.
Yeah, but this is now the second book that I've tried from this author, and I just am not feeling it. Missy said, what happened to Eric in the hospital? Spoil me.
So Eric, obviously they were at the top of like the cliffs or whatever it was that they used to hang out, and they were drunk when they were at camp, and Eric fell down the cliffs and like hit his head on the way down, and his brain ended up swelling whilst he was in hospital, and that continued, the problems that kind of came from that continued way into adulthood, and his whole house and his parents' lives were transformed, his was transformed. What's her name? Piper. I forgot her name. Piper's dad put a lot of money into that family and gave him a lot of money to kind of convert their house to manage his injuries, and the long-term impact of, he couldn't really do much for himself anymore. He couldn't really speak or move. So yeah, he had brain swelling, and it kind of affected him into adulthood, which actually, like, that part of the book was very emotional. If you're thinking about reading that part definitely will kind of invoke emotion. Missy.
I don't know. Missy's not a crier.
She's a crier?
No, she's not.
Oh, or maybe not. I mean, I didn't cry because there wasn't enough of it to make me cry. But if it had been, like, for example, half the book on that, I think it would have had me.
Yeah. So in I think March is when the sequel to The Simple Wild comes out, right? Wild at Heart is in March.
Yeah. I actually am quite excited for that. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like there are not enough books that are set when people are together. Like there's loads of books that have the build up of a relationship, how people get together and then meet cute, but there's not enough books that have the challenges of when you're in that relationship and you have been for like over a year, or the challenges of being in a long-term relationship. So I actually think that book has potential because of that.
I wonder, I guess I'll have to ask people if it could potentially be a standalone and I could just read it as like a standalone book, or if people could just tell me, I guess, what happened in The Simple Wild and then just read it. Because I'm the same way. Like, I get so tired of reading the same romance love story over and over again about like people that fell in love when they were in high school and then they get like together later on in life by this like miracle of fate and stuff like that. And that's why I love like After I Do and All Your Perfects. Yeah. And All Your Perfects, because they're about married couples. And I mean, not that people have to be married or whatever, but like it's still that the fact that they've been together for so long, and then we're reading about the struggles of what it's like to stay in a relationship, because so many of these books you read about the struggles of like them dating, and a lot of times I feel like the struggles are just very like not real struggles, or like, I don't know, it's like things that are just annoying to me where I'm like, oh, you're like getting jealous because this person's like talking to a girl or blah, 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 something like that. Whereas there's actual real struggles that happen when you're actually in a relationship or you are married. And you've been with that person for a while. And so I'd rather read about those types of things, because these romance books just end with, okay, cool, we're together now, like sunshine and rainbows, stuff like that. Yeah. And that's not how it is.
Like after the happy ending.
Right. Yeah.
And I think like the romance genre needs to be more representative of all angles of romance, including the ones where you've been together 2 years and you're so annoyed because they could leave their socks on the floor.
Yeah. Like I actually would love to read a book about even like someone that's been married for like 50 years, like, and they're in their old age. I'm always like, I love when older people tell me about their like love stories. I just feel like it's amazing. And that's one of the reasons why, because you started This Is Us.
Oh my gosh, I love it already.
I love every single love story in that show because it shows all, like, every single hardship that you could go through at any certain point of your relationship with somebody. And I just absolutely love it so much. And I wish that there were more books that just kind of like took pieces out of that show and just wrote things like that.
Yeah.
You'll once you get further in, you'll know what I'm talking about, because right now you just started, but
I just started. My parents wanted me to watch that so much, and Lucy, my flatmate, who was in another room, she was like, I loved it. So I need to watch that.
Such a good show. Such a good show.
Yeah, I feel like I was seeing some tweets about it, and a lot of people compared like the kind of vibe of it to After I Do, which is what made me turn it on, because you know, After I Do, favorite book.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite books ever. I actually just read Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and it wasn't my favorite.
That's my least of all of the Taylor Jenkins Reid books.
Yeah, I still have one more book to read by her. I have the little like novella, The Evidence of the Affair, and then after that, I would have read all of her books, which is so cool to me. I think.
I cannot wait for her next release. When I saw that on Goodreads, I was like,
The Malibu Burning. I don't know if it's coming out at like the end of this year or if it's 2021, because it doesn't have anything about it. Yeah.
Imagine how sought after the arcs for that are going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for real.
The Hunger Games, but arc version.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited for that.
And it sounds like it's going to be another one of her like books where she makes like an iconic character.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it seems kind of where it'll have that like historical vibe to it.
Yeah.
Which those ones aren't I know those ones are a lot of other people's favorites of hers, but I really love her contemporary romance books the best. Like, those are my all-time favorites. Yeah. But
there's a comment that says she didn't like Evidence of the Affair.
Oh, okay.
I had mixed opinions, but I feel like I never really connect to short stories or novellas. Like, I don't have enough time to connect. Like, if it had been a full story, I probably would have loved it. Like, I love all of her other books, but because it was so short, I don't know. I struggle with short stories for that reason.
I've read a couple short stories, but they haven't been romance. They've been like thriller or like sci-fi-ish or whatever. And I actually gave them like pretty high stars. So I feel like I actually do like I don't want to read like a whole like anthology or like short story collection, but if it's just one short story, I almost appreciate, I guess, how short it could be at times. Maybe I've just read all the good ones though. But I'd rather have a short story than like 600 pages and like only 200 of them actually matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I really love the book that you got me for Christmas, that Modern Love, the essays. That was so good.
Yeah.
So I think I like essays more than short stories.
Okay.
Like real true life essays.
Yeah, I think I might see if I can try that one out, because both you and Gabby now have raved about it, and it sounds like it's real life stories.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, so I feel like
and it says at the end of each essay like what date that essay was in the New York Times column and where the person is now and what they're doing now, and I just found that so fascinating.
That's really cool. I actually think I'm going to add that to my wish list, because that sounds amazing, actually.
It was really good. And there's like really emotive ones in there, and then really funny ones. Like, there are funny. There's ones about people in their dating mishaps. I had me and my flatmate laughing our heads off.
That's cute. That's awesome. I'm really excited to read that. Do you have any more tabs in your book? I'm sorry. We got off topic there.
Yeah, we got off topic.
It's fine.
Talking about the books we loved.
Yeah. I mean, I want this live show to be more just like, chatting and stuff. And I want my subscribers to watch this and see whoever the host is at the time and like fall in love with you guys' personalities. So it's fine with me that we get off topic and talk about other things.
Okay. I have a tab on page 166 because Piper did that thing, when you're trying to figure out if someone is dating someone else. instead of just like asking people outright, she says, "What does your girlfriend have to say about this?"
Yeah.
It was just like, I was like, no.
And he just like went along with it, and she like thought that he had a girlfriend for a while.
I know. I felt like his whole introduction into their adult chapters and him moving across the country and then acting totally dismissive of her.
Yeah.
And then even when he like admitted that he knew who she was and he'd moved across the country for her, she was like, all right then, let's start a relationship. And he's like, no, we can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
I don't understand.
You should.
Right, like why did you move all the way over there if you weren't going to?
I know. And his brother just moved with him on the basis that he was following this girl. So it was like two people moved. And then even when they did kiss, he then was like, no, that was a mistake.
Yeah.
Like, Kyle
I actually kind of liked his brother. Like the little bits that I saw, he was actually kind of funny. So that was
I liked his brother. Funny. Yeah. I think the side characters made it for me. Like Krista, is their name Krista? Yeah, Krista. I liked her. Although I didn't understand how they got to a point where Piper never got along with her at camp and then they were living together in adulthood. I was like, these are the moments and these are the storylines that I would want to read about. I want to know about how you guys became 3 great friends living together in your 20s. They're the kinds of stories I like.
Oh my gosh, there was a part where I think it was in the young adult chapters where he had said something, like Kyle said something about like having to spend $200 or not being able to spend $200. And she like thought in her mind and was like, wow, I just like handed over my credit card, like no sweat, and like paid $200 for my sneakers. And I was like, wow. Like that's what I didn't like keeping like reading about constantly is that I feel like even though she kept saying to him like, oh, it doesn't matter that like I'm wealthy, like, you know, it doesn't matter. I still feel like she still doesn't understand how to live on a normal level.
No, and it's something that she outwardly said that she didn't notice difference in wealth, but then inwardly it was all she noticed. And her constant thought pattern was about the difference between wealth and being poor. And I didn't like her inner monologues because I felt like I couldn't relate to her at all.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of my tabs are just things that she says and I'm like, no, Piper, no.
Yeah.
What was this one? Oh yeah, there was page 231 where they are at the gala and her father's so rude to the wait staff.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
As a barista, I hated that. I was like, wow.
And that's I work at a college that has a lot of wealthy people at it, and they constantly do that to me. And a lot of these college students are way younger than me, and it just irritates me. Like I have literally had a student, I don't know if he was drunk or not, but at work we have like bagels and cream cheese, and it was like late night and we were almost closing and we were like really busy at the moment. And we usually like spread the cream cheese on the bagels, but in order to save time, because we were so busy, we just put the cream cheese like on the side and like handed it out. And he literally came up to us and he was like, I pay you to spread this cream cheese on my bagel. Yeah, no. I am not even kidding you. So that's why I think like reading about wealthy people really irritates me, because like they act like if that's how they grew up, like they can't change, but it's like, no, you're still a person. Like everyone is still a human being, and you could totally realize not to be that way. And so
yeah, definitely. I think that like it really made me be like, oh, I hate him as a character, but I also marked it down because I think that that is an excellent way of showing what a character's like as opposed to telling us what a character's like. Like I loved the use of that, because everyone knows that if you're rude to customer service staff, then that sums you up as a person.
Yeah.
Me and my flatmate always say that if we're going on a first date and we're going somewhere where you are like there's a bartender or a waitress, you can tell what the person you're on a date with is like because of how they treat the staff. And so I thought that was actually like made me hate the dad, but that was why it was in there, and I think it was a really good use of that scenario to show us what the character was like.
That's a good tip. Dating tips with Emily right here.
Clearly isn't going very well.
Well, no, like I was thinking about that, and like my husband would never, I mean, he also works in like food like me, and I feel like that's another thing. Like if someone's worked in customer service, they're not going to be rude to somebody else that works in like the food and customer service industry. And yeah, my husband would never even think, like he's like one of the most polite people ever when it comes to like, you know, even if they come up to our table and they're like, I'm so sorry, you know, like something like that, and he's like, it's no problem, you know. So that's a good tip. I could definitely see if someone's rude.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Or how about all the times that her dad, like he was like, with David, he was like, I just need you to go to this dinner. Like, I don't care if you screw him or like kill him or whatever. And then when she was at that gala and the one guy, like he was like, how come you're ignoring him? And she's like, well, he didn't really care. He was just looking at my boobs. Like, and her dad just like what type of dad would just kind of let your daughter be sexualized like that? You know what I mean?
Like her dad really didn't. He had, I think, respect for her in some ways, but complete disrespect for her in other ways. Like if your daughter comes to you and says, this relationship wasn't right for me, like he is not the type of man for me, stop pushing him on her. Like I really didn't like those parts. But again, for me, that wasn't any, like that's not a criticism of the book for me. That's another good, for me, that just showed up the character well. Like the father was, I felt, quite a developed character, even if the relationship between the father and Piper wasn't, because you didn't really know where they stood as two characters together, but I could tell where her father stood as a character.
I don't mind having characters that we don't like, but I feel like all of the characters in this book were people that I didn't like. Like I feel like there wasn't somebody I was rooting for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that there would have been for me if any of the side characters had been more of a protagonist, because I really did like the girls that she lived with, as I've said, and I liked Jeremy, as we've said. But because I wasn't rooting for either of the main characters, I think that really kind of set the tone for the whole reading experience.
Have you read All the Ugly and Wonderful Things?
No, but I have watched your reading vlog.
You watched it? Oh my gosh, you should have read that book.
Well, I was thinking that like I wanted to watch it, and then I was like, I'll just read it, and then it'll be interesting to read it knowing what you've said.
Okay, so you're gonna read it eventually.
Yeah, definitely, because I found that what you were saying, your comments on that, and the controversialness, is that a word? No, it's not. Of their relationship made me want to read it so that I could add to that discussion.
Okay, yeah, because that was a book where a lot of characters were obviously not great characters, like her dad, where they're like kind of like evil people, if you want to say that. But you were still rooting for like Wavy and Kellen, like the main romance that was happening. And so, yeah, like I don't even care if like all 10 characters in a book, as long as I'm like, if there's like one or two people that I'm like rooting for. But yeah, like this one, I felt like I didn't really care about anybody enough.
Yeah, like sometimes it is interesting if there is a character in a book that is like pitched to you as a bad guy, but then you find yourself drawn to them and they're actually much more complex than they seem. And I think that was actually, like, saying that was the problem with this book for me. I didn't feel like either of the protagonists were complex enough, because I think an important thing about protagonists is you have to like constantly learn stuff about them throughout the book, and you constantly have to think and like learn about their thoughts and their brain and how they react to situations. And for me, like these characters weren't as like 3D as that. They were very two-dimensional. So I completely agree. A bad character is a good thing sometimes, because it makes you more intrigued and more drawn to them. But there wasn't really anything about that with these.
Oh, Missy said she loves your dating tip.
Welcome to Dating with Em.
You should start that as like a series on your channel and just get tips from like romance books and be like, so if they would have followed my tip in this romance book.
Oh, I should read the romance books and then vlog me trying them in real life.
Oh my gosh, that is a really good idea.
Tomorrow,
I bet a lot of people would like watch that and love that.
When a cute guy comes into the coffee shop tomorrow, I'm going to be like, so I like turtles. And just see how it works. Because clearly that's how you get men.
Yeah. You just need to have turtle is going to be your spirit animal now. Just have turtles on everything. Have turtle earrings. Be like, hey, do you like my turtle earrings?
Do you like my earrings? I heard you like a girl that likes turtles.
That is so great. Oh my gosh. I would love to see a video like that. That would be great.
I feel like that's a high risk video. Embarrassing myself in York.
Oh my gosh. Wow, who else that's watching? There's 10 people on. Who else that's watching would want to see Emily go on dates and follow advice from dating books?
I feel like some books would be good for that. Like after I do, you learn a lot of things about love in that book, but books like this might lead you astray. I'm reading a book at the moment, and it's an arc for NetGalley, and it's about a girl that has come out of a relationship and she's quite lonely because she's single and she's like rediscovering herself. And the front cover is like her in a blanket, and it's called The Lonely Fajita. Because she looks like a fajita in this blanket, and I've never related to a front cover of a book more.
Oh my gosh.
I might change my channel name to The Lonely Fajita.
Oh my gosh, that would be that could be your series. You could be like The Lonely Fajita going
Lonely
on a date again.
Takes life.
Yeah.
Missy said I'd watch that in a heartbeat.
See, I'm telling you, people would probably, because even if it was like stupid advice, it was like that would totally make the video. It would just be really funny. People would just like laugh so much. That would be so great. Plus, everyone loves to see inside, people's lives and stuff. So that would be awesome.
The embarrassments of my romantic life.
No, that's great. So are you currently reading anything right now?
Well, I'm reading The Lonely Fajita, and I'm also reading a non-fiction book for a new series I'm starting on my channel.
Ooh,
yes, I'm very excited. Yeah, it's a secret. I just finished. What did I just finish? Oh, Regretting You by Colleen Hoover.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I had thoughts.
Thoughts. Okay.
Yeah.
What did you end up reading it, or are you saving that for your wrap up?
I rated it. Well, I am in two minds about rating things at the moment. I don't know if I'm going to abandon the rating system for good. But I don't know, maybe like a 3. I feel like I give everything a 3 if I'm not that attached to it. With that one, I just didn't like Clara as a character. Morgan.
Neither did I. Yeah, but I love Morgan too. Yeah.
Sometimes with like a dual perspective novel, I think it's a risk for the writer, and a risk that sometimes really pays off, because you have to have both points of view. You have to have the reader wanting both points of view and feeling excited about both points of view, and if they dislike one of the angles, then the kind of reading experience goes downhill a little bit. But I have heard everyone else love that book, so I feel like maybe I just missed the point.
Yeah, I mean, I did give it higher ratings just because Colleen Hoover is like my favorite author of all time. And so I feel really bad rating her books really low if it's not something that I relate to as much as On a Whole, because her writing style is literally right up my alley. Like her books are some of the easiest books for me to read. But yeah, I really did not like Clara at all in that book. I loved Morgan, but again, that's another thing. When there's these like dual young adult / adult novels, I am always going to gravitate towards the adult side of it because, I mean, goodness gracious, like I'm going to be 28 this year. Like I don't want to read about a bratty 14-year-old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that and the letters, I just really wanted, like, I thought I was going to be able to get to read the letters, and I was really sad about that.
Yeah, that would have been so, even if Morgan didn't read the letters in the novel, even if they'd been included at the end, like even just at the end, if it had been like, you know how they make it on pages look like they,
like a letter.
Yeah, but not even like the characters talking about the letters, just like
as
if the letters had been scanned in, just so you as the reader could read the letters. That would have been cool.
Really good idea. Because
but Colleen Hoover's books are amazing.
Yeah, that's what I liked about All Your Perfects, is because we got to read Graham's letter, and I cried my eyes out reading that.
That is a great book. I enjoyed that book.
Yeah, so
It Ends With Us breaks my heart.
Yeah,
I've read it 4 times now, and it never gets any less painful.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was actually my first Colleen Hoover book that I read, and so I read it. Yeah, like 3 years ago, I guess. So because that was the first one, like I rated it 5 stars on Goodreads, but it was before I ever started writing reviews. So I don't even remember like what I liked about it exactly. So I mean, maybe one day in the future I would reread it, but like I still like it, but I never really bring it up as much just because I don't know how to recommend it since I don't remember it very much.
Yeah. I read that one a lot, like when we were editing my book and we had to look at other representations of domestic violence. That was one of the ones that I read over and over, just because familiarizing myself with that topic was really important. And it makes me cry every single time. Doesn't matter how many times I read the book. But then I read Without Merit. Have you read that one?
Yeah, that one was not my favorite. But again, it's just a young adult contemporary.
Yeah. So. But then I did enjoy, what was the one called? Maybe Someday. I really liked that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I feel like it's... So, go ahead.
I was just going to say, for me, I think they're a bit hit or miss. Like, I either love them or I just not that bothered.
My, like, favorites are, like, All Your Perfects. November 9 is amazing. Ugly Love was really good. Too Late is really good, but it's also a lot, like, darker and kind of more of a like suspense vibe to it.
Yeah.
I do really like Regretting You because I thought my heart was breaking like in the beginning. Like I legit felt like I was Morgan and like So and I did like Confess, I think, as well.
I haven't read that one either. I think I've only read like 5. What did you think of Verity? Have you read it?
Verity, I think I ended up rating it 4 on Goodreads because I felt bad rating it lower than that. This was like a year ago before I, got comfortable with just being an asshole.
I was gonna say, this doesn't sound like Jacqueline roasting books left, right, and center.
Back in the day, let me tell you, no. But I think my like main rating was like a 3 or 3.5. Just because for a thriller, it was not that great. And then for a romance, it also was not that great. Like, I felt like she should have just stuck with one or the other. So it is not one of my favorites of Colleen Hoover. And so many people rave about it too. Like, they literally rave about that book.
Yeah, I feel like I read it because I think last year was the year that I really started to get into thrillers. Like, I'd read Gone Girl and The Girl on the Train, but I hadn't really explored much more of that genre. So I feel like I read that pretty early on. So I thought it was amazing at the time. And I still think it had that shock factor. Like, I can't exactly remember the storyline, but I remember reading the last few chapters on the train and like having to like tone down my reaction on the train. Like, there was a big plot twist, I think, wasn't there?
There was, yeah.
And it did really like shock me. So it definitely did have that. But I think, as I've started to read other thrillers, like Never Have I Ever, that one.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that was good.
That's the problem is like, especially being, and I mean, maybe romance readers feel this way too, but as a thriller reader, I feel like I just keep getting pickier and pickier because when you see the same tropes over and over again, like it loses its, I don't know, like surprise factor, I guess, technically, because, like there's the thrillers where like there's, you know, flashbacks and like, but like all the characters have different names. And it's like, now I'm like, I know right away, I'm like, oh, there's going to be a name change somewhere where like, you know, this character is actually this character. So like, yeah, it's just harder and harder. And that's why I guess people always are like, well, Jackie just doesn't know how to rate books, and like she's so mean to like thrillers and like, you know, stuff like that. And it's because I've read so many thrillers now where like it has to be really good in order to shock me now. So
yeah, if a thriller passes the Jacqueline test, it's a good thriller.
Right? Yeah. Hopefully, I don't know. Some people really like different, and I guess there's different kinds too. Like I really don't like the slow burn thrillers that are just atmospheric, because it's like there's only one twist and it's like at the very, very end.
So
and
like
for me, it's not worth it to like, I like ones where there's like a twist like at the halfway point and you're like, oh, maybe I don't know what I'm reading. And it makes you like think of something else. So that way the second half of the book, you're totally thrown off. I really like those a lot.
Yeah. I can't remember. Did you like The Turn of the Key?
Nope.
Okay, I DNF'd that one.
Oh, wow. I got a lot of hate. I put it on my worst books of 2019, and I received a lot of hate comments on that one.
Oh, really? Really?
People were really mad at me for that.
Sometimes I feel like I can't tell if I DNF'd it because I'm in a reading slump or if I DNF'd it because I don't like it. So I might give it another go. I also think I was a bit scared.
Scared of what?
I don't know. That I got up to the bit where she's like being introduced to the mum, and there's like, isn't there like an ominous room and a daughter that's a bit ominous, and I was like, nope, it's 11 p.m.
Oh my gosh,
I'm out.
that's funny. That's hilarious. Yeah, so that review on Goodreads, I literally pointed out like everything that irritated me about that book. I gave it 2 stars. Because so many people just raved about it and it was not as great as, I guess I had it really hyped in my head because of everyone raving about it and the synopsis and stuff, but it is not what you think it is. Like, yeah. So
I don't know whether to give it another go just so I can then read your review and like see what I think.
I don't know.
Potentially. I'm a bit of a wuss though, and it did seem a bit scary.
It's not scary.
No?
No.
Is it paranormal or not?
No.
No.
And that's what made me mad, is that like everyone kept like talking about that and saying that, and there was no paranormal element to it at all. And that's what I was looking for. Like everyone was like, oh, this is like, you know, on the verge of a horror book, and like it's so atmospheric and scary, and like the house, you know, it has paranormal vibes, and like it doesn't.
Okay. I'm intrigued. My Hold of the Silent Patient just came into the library, so I'm gonna try that one out. Did you like that one?
I buddy read that one with Gabby. Okay, so I gave it 4 stars. Don't.
Oh, that's good.
Don't come after me. Okay. It just, like for me, I give a lot of thrillers 4 stars when they're just like, you know, they didn't shock me a lot, but they also weren't like bad. You know, like they kept me entertained-ish throughout the whole book. And so that one was good. It had some good twists in it. But like the last big twist, like the whole point of the book, totally went over my head and lost me. So when you do read that one, we can talk about it, because I still don't understand why the heck it's called The Silent Patient. Okay. Intriguing. Or I don't understand why she was silent. That's what I don't understand.
Kind of seems like something that would need to be obvious by the end of the book.
I mean, maybe I just like, I don't know. To me, it was just weird. It was weird. I feel like, I don't know. Yeah, talk to me later.
Okay. I actually thought we were going to have a situation with this live show where like I was going to love it and you were going to hate it. Because I feel like the other way around, because that's what usually happens when we read the same book. But actually, we both seem to be pretty much on the same level with this one.
Yeah, which is, I mean, that's good, because at least, I don't know. I mean, no matter how any of the books would be, like, I feel like it's good for the live show anyway. Like, even if one of us hated it and one of us loved it, that's good discussion. Or if we both loved it, you know, I don't mind if the subscribers love it or hate it, you know, that type of thing. I was pretty sure.
If anyone did love it, like I'd be interested. I like my favorite thing about reading, and I never understand why people don't like this about reading, is how everyone takes different things from a book. Like if I say I love a book and someone hated it, or if I say I didn't like a book and someone loved it, that interests me so much, and I would never be offended or like wouldn't want to listen to their point of view because it interests me so much.
Yeah, I'm the same way, and that's why I actually have a book discussion in the book club for All the Ugly and Wonderful Things tonight. And I don't think I've ever been more excited to do a book discussion before because of it being so controversial. Like I cannot wait to hear both sides of the story. And that's even one of those books where like, even though I rated it 5 stars, if someone is rating it 1 star, I can totally understand where they're coming from. Like, it's not like I'm like, oh, well, how dare you? Like, you didn't understand the characters or anything like that. Like, I totally could understand where they're coming from. And I feel like also so much of reading comes from what someone can relate to or has related to in the past. And so that's why I feel like so many of us do have different opinions because, you know, I'm actually surprised that you even loved After I Do, because I know a lot of people that weren't married just thought it was like a boring book because they just didn't know how to relate to that aspect. So,
Yeah, no. Well, I was actually quite surprised that I loved that as much as I did. But I think what I loved about it most was all the different opinions on relationships and love. Like, not everyone in that book was married, and like her sister in that book, who was totally content with her life and didn't see the allure of romance. Every single perspective in that book made it so interesting to me. But yeah, no, it's just when someone hates a book that I love, I can't wait to discuss that. And I would, I find it, because then I love to go back and reread a book, knowing if I didn't like it the first time, what someone else liked, and looking for that in the book. And sometimes it changes your opinion, and I think that's like a really cool thing. And obviously everyone goes into a book looking for something different, as you say. Like I don't think you'll have read this because it is a YA like fantasy, but did you see all of the controversy over like Serpent and Dove?
No.
It's like it's the one where it was like a witch and a witch hunter and they fell in love, and it was like a fantasy. And so many people were criticizing it, saying, oh, it's just too much of a romance, like there isn't that much world building. Whereas I went into the book and it was one of my favorite, it was in my top 10 of the year, because I figured out that if I'm going to read a fantasy or a sci-fi or anything like that, I need there to be a strong romance, and for that to be at the forefront of the books, that's what I go into a book looking for. So I found that really interesting, that its biggest criticism was my biggest draw to it.
Which is really funny you say that, because, and I don't read fantasy, but I actually have a copy of Ninth House, and I think I'm going to try that out because of the controversy everyone had where it's like super dark and triggering to people, and it was like too much for them. And I love books like that, especially being a thriller reader. And I feel like I actually might enjoy that book just because of those elements. Yeah. So I haven't been brave enough to start it yet. I think I might wait till the summer when I have more time, but I definitely am going to try that out.
If you do it in too many sittings, I feel like you could never go back to it, kind of thing. It's quite like hard going in that there's a lot going on in the book, like with a romance like this one. If my mind drifted off, I could still catch up, but Ninth House, you have to be kind of like on it.
Okay.
But I definitely want to read the sequel for that, because it left it at a good point.
Yeah. Oh, my husband's home. Do you want to say hi to YouTube? he's like, no. Yeah, I'm just someone said, it's best to read Ninth House in as few as sittings. So I'm definitely going to wait for the summer, and that way I can just like sit down and read it, because with working and stuff now, I just have to read my books so broken up, and it's ridiculous. I think that's also why I just haven't been able to read as much and not get as much reading done, because I like to read books in one sitting. Like that's how I prefer to read. It's like my type of reading style.
I'm laughing at
Missy said because she was silent. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that made me laugh.
That is funny. Yeah. So do you have any more comments on the book?
I'll just have a quick flick.
Subscribers, do you have any more comments on the book before we wrap it out? Oh, Trish said ninth house can be a little confusing in the beginning, but stick with it. It becomes easier as you go. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. You have to like, stick with it, because at the beginning there's a lot of like facts and like story setting and world building, and you're like, whoa. But then the further you get into it, the easier it becomes to read. I totally agree with that comment. I did just find another tab on page 235, which kind of like opposed Piper's character, because a lot of Piper's storylines seem to be about men and kind of wanting a man. And then on page 235, her dad goes, he's the kind of man you'll need in your life. And she goes, I don't need a man. And I was like, yes, that's what we like to see. Like, if the right one comes along, that's great. But I liked that attitude.
That's funny.
That was just another little insight, another of the random tabs.
I like when she told her dad off about, like, you know, he doesn't need to be in her personal life and pick the man for her. That, like, you know, she's going to pick whoever she wants, like, because of being in love with them and not just because of them being wealthy also. Yeah.
See, that made her a little bit like less of the spoiled brat that she had come across in other parts of the book, I felt.
Yeah.
Like, there were parts where I felt almost as if the character that she was designed to be came through, rather than I felt like there was a character beyond what we saw that she had the potential to be. We just didn't see it as much. Like, I could see the potential of her character, but it didn't come through in the writing for me.
Yeah.
I also like the bit, just to put some positive comments in this live, where obviously there's Renee, which is the new assistant for her ex-fiance, and instead, and it looks like Renee kind of is attracted to Kyle, and there wasn't like woman versus woman like competition. Instead, she was like Piper commented on how much she respected Renee and liked her as a woman, and I felt like that was, I could see it teetering on the edge of being the opposite, and then it saved it, and I was like,
yeah, I did see that too. I thought that Renee was gonna go and like try and steal Kyle, because like it even said like Kyle was giving her like the smile that he gives Piper and like stuff like that. And then I did like that Piper said like, oh, actually like Renee's good in my book or whatever. Yeah,
I think it almost went into a trope, and that is a trope that if I see that in a romance, I kind of like immediately back off from it a bit, because I just think that's a bit overdone and not what we need in 2020. It's not the 2020 energy we need. So when I saw that, I was like, when was this published? Was this last year or?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't. So it's quite recent.
Wow, she actually has a lot of books. Like, she has like the list in the front.
Oh yeah,
that's a lot.
I didn't realize that. That looks like a series. One of them. Also, her dedication's interesting. To tail-chewing cats and sneaky psychics. Thank you for making both real and fictional life more interesting.
That is weird. Yeah, this did come out in 2019.
You can tell she's like written loads of books because she's ran out of people to dedicate the books to, and she's doing it to tail-chewing cats.
Can't they just like dedicate the book to the same person over and over again? Or maybe they don't want to.
My family members were like fighting over it.
That's funny.
Like texting me like, so who's it going to be dedicated to? Imagine if I'd put to tail-chewing cats.
And not any of them. That would be funny. That's what you can do for your second book.
Because I love turtles.
To the guy that's going to date me because I love turtles.
Or to the guy that's going to run a mile when I say I love turtles, if I did reenact that.
There you go. Oh my gosh.
Oh, they're just reading that comment.
Did you drink your hot chocolate?
I did.
Oh,
I've got like 2 sips left. Did you drink your tea?
Oh yeah. I like to finish mine like 20 minutes in.
I'm so jealous of that tea. Candy cane tea.
Yeah.
That is next level. Whenever you post on the book club about David's tea, I'm like,
oh,
I really want to try the creamers that everyone puts in their coffee in America.
do you not have flavored creamers there?
No, like the one that I saw it on Zoe Reed's channel, the funfetti one. What the heck?
That's so funny. See, I used to use those a lot, but they're not very healthy. They're like filled with sugar and just like a lot, like it's not actual like real cream. And so, yeah, I do not drink those anymore. But yeah, we do have a lot of flavors and stuff.
Yeah.
So when you go to like as a barista, do you have syrups that you put in coffees?
Yeah, we have syrups. So like the vanilla, caramel, hazelnut syrups, but we don't have anything like the creamers. When we went to New York in the summer, me and my sister we really wanted to go to Target because we were like, I've heard so much about Target. And we were looking in the aisle with all the creamers like,
oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Wow, I'm gonna have to send you, because you can even get like the flavored creamers. Now I don't think they have like all of the flavors, but you can get them in like little, like, I don't know, like not shot glass, but like smaller than that, but like to open and put in your coffee, but they don't have to be refrigerated.
Oh, like a single serve.
Yeah, I'll have to just like get a bunch of them and I'll have to send you a goodie box with American stuff.
I would love you forever. Let's do a swap.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, actually, yeah. Kira was talking to me about like some of the like British teas that she really loves, because I love tea, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should do like an American / British swap to be like, here, try some things from America.
We in York we have this like, there's 2 branches of it in the city, but it's like a tea shop, like just a tea shop, and you can go in and try any sample that you want, and they have like pumpkin spice tea, gingerbread tea, spiced orange tea. It's amazing. It is so cool. Yeah, it is cool.
That's what we need to do then. I'm gonna start stockpiling for you.
And don't be afraid about the sugar for me, because I'm all about the sugar. Like Gus with the donuts.
Yeah. Okay, I will find flavored creamers. I'm gonna send you a laundry basket.
Not a dresser drawer.
Oh, and a dresser drawer.
Vacuum your vacuum, or whatever that means.
You not have vacuum cleaners there?
We do, but we call it a Hoover.
Oh, interesting. I think that's a brand, isn't it?
Yeah, but we just like use it as, we're gonna Hoover the carpet now.
Oh, so you're gonna Hoover the carpet with your Hoover?
Yeah.
Not vacuum
like vacuuming with your vacuum. Wow.
And you thought we were silly. At least ours makes sense. Vacuuming is actually sucking air and dirt up.
I didn't even know that Hoover was a brand. Wow, you learn something new every day.
I think it's a brand of a vacuum cleaner. That's why I guess you guys call it that.
I feel like Hoover sounds very British. Like, we're going to Hoover.
That is so funny. I'm going to say that now, because actually where I'm from in Pennsylvania, it's very, like, my background's German. And so I grew up like all around like Pennsylvania Germans and stuff. And so we actually didn't even call it a vacuum cleaner. We called it a sweeper, and you would sweep with the sweeper. Yeah.
Oh, so we would have a big brush as a sweeper.
Yeah, so that people would make fun of me then, because like the broom is like the big brush that you're talking about, and they sweep with a broom, but we would sweep with a broom and sweep with a sweeper. But the sweeper was actually the vacuum cleaner.
Also, I just saw your comment, Nikki, and I love that tea. I have a box in my cupboard right now.
Oh, the buttermint tea. I have tried that. That one is good.
It's so nice. I'm all about mint teas, Moroccan mint or like spearmint. So good. Me and Lucy always drink that before bed, and we'll take turns over who's doing the tea run before bed.
That's funny. That's hilarious. All right. Well, if no one has any more questions, we've actually been on for an hour and 23 minutes. Did you think it was
so quick?
Yeah. I always get nervous at first, and I'm like, what if we only talk, like, what if we only have like 15 minutes of content to talk about?
You can always default to the British versus American.
Yeah, saying. There we go.
They're never not funny.
I know, that is very funny. That's the highlight of this discussion and call, definitely. All right. So I actually have Emily's link down below in the description if anybody is not familiar with her channel and you guys want to go check her out. It's down below, easy to click on. Yeah. And I am so thankful for everyone that came on. I know we didn't have as big of a turnout because of it being so early, but maybe next time, Emily, you'll have to pull a late night show for you.
Yeah, definitely. I'll get that Nespresso machine going.
Yeah, there we go.
Coffee.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but this was really, really fun. Thank you
so much for inviting me.
Yeah, no, thanks for being my first one. This was great.
The honor.
So yeah, so alrighty. I hope everyone has a good evening. It's starting to be nighttime for us, but I hope any subscribers that aren't in the US also are having a good night. I guess you guys are planning on going to bed soon.
Oh, I'm glad we made you laugh, Nikki.
But yeah, so thank you guys, and we'll see you guys very soon, like in one of our videos. Bye-bye.
Yes. Bye, guys.